Dear students, this video is in continuation with the previous video of story An Angel in Disguise. I am on page number 79, so let's start. Though rough in exterior, Joe Thompson, the wheelwright, had a heart and it was very tender in some places. Though Joe Thompson was heavily built, he had a heavily built body structure and physically he was very rough, but he had a very tender, soft, and kind heart. He liked children and was pleased to have them come to his shop. So he was a wheelwright and he had a shop where he used to make and mend sleds and wagons. Sleds and wagons are objects that you are used to slide on snow. So the children living in the village, they used to come to his shop for getting their sleds and wagons repaired or getting them made. So he used to do this free of cost without charging anything from them. So it's written that and he was pleased to have them come to his shop. He loved children coming to his shop where sleds and wagons were made or mended. Mended means repaired for the village lads, for the village boys, without a draft on their hoarded expenses. So he did not charge anything from them for repairing or mending the sleds and wagons of the children. No, dear. Answering to the question asked by Maggie, that when she pleaded that do not leave me alone here, he said, "No, dear," he answered in kind voice, going to the bed and stooping down over the child. So he stooping down means bending down. So he bent over the child and he said that not going to leave you. You shan't be left here alone. He said, you will not be left here alone. Then he wrapped her with the gentleness almost of a woman in a clean bedcloth which some neighbor had bought, and lifting her in his strong arms, bore her out into the air and across the field that lay between the hovel and his home. So Mr. Thompson, he wrapped her gently in a clean bedsheet, lifted her in his arms, and took her to his home, which was across the fields. Moving on to the next page now. So now Joe Thompson's wife, who happened to be childless, was not a woman of saintly temper. So Mrs. Thompson was not a woman of saintly temper. She was of a irritable nature. She was childless, nor much given to self-deniers for others' good. So she refused to accept anything for others' good. So he was very much aware, Joe Thompson was very much aware about the reaction of his wife, who was childless, who was not of a saintly temper, who did not accept anything for the good of others. So he was very well aware that how she would react. And Joe had well-grounded doubts touching the manner of greeting he should receive on his arrival. So he was very much sure about the reaction of his wife, which he will receive when he takes home Maggie. Mrs. Thompson saw him approaching from the window, and with ruffling feathers. Ruffling feathers here means with anger, met him a few paces from the door. So Mrs. Thompson, when she saw from the window that Mr. Thompson is coming home and he's carrying Maggie with him, so she was very angry on seeing that, and he met her husband at the door. As he opened the gate and came in, he bore a precious burden. So here Maggie is referred to as precious burden, and he felt it to be so. He felt Maggie to be a precious burden. He felt that she is very precious. As his arms held the sick child to his breast, a sphere of tenderness went out from her and penetrated his feelings. So a bond of love was being established between Maggie and Mr. Thompson. So it's very beautifully mentioned in these lines that the feelings of love had penetrated his heart while he was carrying the child. A bond had already coded itself around them both, and love was springing into life. So love had been born. Love, fatherly love for Maggie had already been there in his heart while he was carrying Maggie towards his house. What have you there? Sharply questioned Mrs. Thompson. So when she saw that Mr. Thompson has brought home Maggie, so she sharply asked him that what have you there? Joe felt the child start and shrink against him. So Joe could feel that Maggie is afraid. She's frightened on hearing the sharp voice of Mrs. Thompson. She had shrunk against him. He did not reply except by a look that was pleading and cautionary that said, wait a moment for explanation and be gentle. So he did not no reply initially, but he looked at Mrs. Thompson with the pleading means with the requesting, and cautionary means warning. So he's saying with the look full of request and a look of warning, he said his wife that wait for a moment and be gentle and kind. Wait, I'll explain everything, but be gentle and kind. Then, and passing in, carried Maggie into a small chamber on the first floor and laid her on the bed. So he moved on after saying her to wait for explanation, and he passed by her and he took Maggie to a small chamber that was on the first floor of his house, and he laid her on the bed. Then stepping back, he shut the door and stood face to face with his vinegar-tempered wife in the passageway outside. So he stood face to face with his vinegar-tempered wife. Vinegar-tempered means so-tempered. Remember, you've also done this in Merchant of Venice. Nature hath framed two sort of people. Grishanio said this, no? So vinegar-tempered means so-tempered. So he means of irritable nature. So now Mr. Thompson is standing face to face with his wife, and he's there to give explanation that why he has brought home Maggie. You haven't brought home that sick brat. She's asking that why have you brought home Maggie? She's calling her a sick brat. Anger and astonishment were in tones of Mrs. Thompson, Joe Thompson. Her face was in flame. So she was burning with anger as if. She asked him that why have you brought Maggie here? I think women's heart are sometimes very hard. So this is how Joe Thompson replied. So he said that women are very hard at heart, said Joe. Usually Joe Thompson got out of his wife's way or kept rigidly silent and non-combative. Non-combative means not ready to fight when she fired up on any subject. So this was usual reaction of Joe Thompson when his wife reacted in such a manner. When his wife was angry or she was astonished or she was irritable. So Joe Thompson, he kept silent. He was non-combative. He was never he never wished to argue with his wife, or he never fought with his wife. But this time it was different. It was with some surprise, therefore, that she now encountered a firmly set countenance. Countenance means facial expression, and a resolute pair of eyes. Resolute means firm. So now Mr. Thompson, he was very firm about his decision of bringing home Maggie, and it was totally in contrast to how he behaved with his wife usually when she was angry with him. So he was silent, he did not react much, he was not ready to fight at all, but this time he had a firm facial expression and he had a resolute pair of eyes. So on seeing that, Mrs. Thompson, she said, women's heart are not half so hard as men's. He says, no, men have harder heart than women. Joe saw by a quick intuition that his resolute bearing had impressed his wife. So he could notice that his firm countenance and his resolute pair of eyes had definitely impressed his wife. And he answered quickly with real indignation. Be that as it may, every woman at the funeral turned her eyes steadily from the sick child's face, and when the cart went off with her dead mother, hurried away and left her alone in that old hut with the sun not an hour in the sky. So he is giving reason that why he has said so. He has said that women are very hard at heart. So initially he had said so because after seeing the reaction of his wife is not happy that he has brought home Maggie. And other reason why he has said that women have very hard heart is that he said that every woman at the funeral had left in a hurry without thinking that what would happen of the sick child. So when after the funeral, when the cart of her mother were taken for burial, so everybody rushed away, and this girl, helpless child Maggie, was left all alone, and everybody knew that sun not an hour in the sky means night was approaching, and sun would be hardly for an hour in the sky. After that, night would fall. What would this helpless child do? A bedridden, sick, helpless child who couldn't even move on her own. So, without thinking that, these hard hearted women, they left this child all alone. So, these are the reasons why Mr. Joe Thompson had called women are hard hearted. Where were John and Kate? Asked Mrs. Thompson. He says that uh, she's asking that when Mr. Thompson that said that night was approaching and the child was left all alone. So Mrs. Thompson asked that where were John and Kate? Farmer Jones tossed John into his wagon and drove off. Katy went home with Mrs. Ellis, but nobody wanted poor sick one. Sent her to the poorhouse was the cry. So now Joe Thompson explained that Farmer Jones has taken away John, and Katy has been taken away by Mrs. Ellis, and nobody wanted to take this poor sick child, and everybody said that she should be sent to the poorhouse. Why didn't you let her go then? Why did you bring her here? What did you bring her here for? She says, you should have left her to the poorhouse then. Why have you brought her here? She can't walk to poorhouse, said Joe. She says, can't you see? She's bedridden. She can't walk herself to a poorhouse. Somebody has to take her, no? Somebody's arm must carry her, and mine are strong enough for that task. So somebody has to pick her in her arms and take her to the poorhouse. She can't walk. Then why didn't you keep on? Why did you stop here? Demanded his wife. He said, then why didn't you kept on moving till you reached the poorhouse? Why have you stopped here? Because I am not apt to go fool errands. Fool's errands here means moving here and there without a reason. He says that I am not a fool who would move around without a reason. He says the guardians must be seen and permit obtained. So this is the guardians, the caretakers of the poorhouse has to be seen, and permission has to be obtained before we send a child to a poorhouse. There are certain formalities that are to be done before a child is to be sent to the poorhouse. And since night was approaching, so he says that I am not a fool that I will at this hour I'll take the child to the poorhouse. So he's giving reason that guardians must be seen and permit obtained. He needs to obtain a permit and he needs to see the guardians of the poorhouse before he sends Maggie to the poorhouse. When will you see the guardians? So she is asking now that when are you going to see the guardians of the poorhouse? Was asked with irrepressible impatience. So being very impatient. So she asked Mr. Thompson that when are you going to see the guardians? Tomorrow. Why put it off till tomorrow? Go at once for the permit and get the whole thing off your hands tonight. This is why are you waiting for tomorrow? Go at once and get the permit to leave this child, to leave Maggie at poorhouse. He says you should get the whole thing off your hands tonight. He's saying you should get rid of this child tonight only. Why do you wait for tomorrow? Jane. So he's talking to his wife. His wife's name is Jane. So he says, Jane, said the wheelwright, with an impressiveness of tone that greatly subdued his wife. So he had a tone in his voice that really impressed his wife. He said, I read in the Bible sometimes, and I read in the Bible sometimes and find much said about little children. He says, I usually read the Bible, and there is a lot written about children, how the Savior rebuked the disciples who would not receive them. He says that how God rebuked the followers who did not receive the children. So he is saying that I have often read Bible and there's much written about children in Bible. He says that how God rebukes the disciples. He says that how God speaks angrily with his followers who do not receive them, who do not receive the children. How he took them up in his arms and blessed them. He says that how he takes care of the children. He takes him in his arm and he blesses them. And how he said that whosoever gave them a cup of cold water should not go unrewarded. He says how God has said that even if a cold cup of water is given to the children, they will be rewarded for that. So he is trying to convince his wife, he's trying to convince Jane that even Bible says that we should help children. Even a person who gives a cold cup of water, a cup of cold water to children are not, they are also rewarded by God. Now it is small thing for us to do. Keep this poor motherless little one for a single night. Says we are not doing much for this child. We are keeping this motherless, helpless little child for a single night at our place. To be kind to her for a single night, to make her life comfortable for a single night. Saying we are just helping her for one night. So can't we do that? So he says that we'll be definitely rewarded for whatever we are doing. Even God says so. Even in Bible it's mentioned that one who helps God is always rewarded by God. So he says that we are not doing much for this little poor helpless girl. We are just keeping her at our place for one single night. So let's do that. He's just trying to convince his wife that we should help this girl. The voice of the strong, rough man shook, and he turned his head away so that the moisture in his eyes might not be seen. So he's very emotional. He's very tender and soft at heart. So while speaking to his wife, he had tears in his eyes. So he turned his back so that she couldn't see the tears. Mrs. Thompson did not answer, but a soft feeling crept into her heart. So Mrs. Jane Thompson's heart has also melted. So she is also touched by what Mr. Thompson had said. Look at her kindly, Jane. Speak to her kindly. So he's saying you should be kind to her. Take care of her. Look at her kindly. Speak to her kindly, said Joe. Think of her dead mother and the loneliness, the pain, the sorrow that must be on all her coming life. But she should be kind. Her mother is dead. She's all alone. Siblings have left her. She's in pain. She's suffering. She's bedridden. So he's saying you should see how sorrowful she is. And she'll suffer sorrow throughout her life. How there won't be anybody who would love her in the poorhouse. So she's going to live a life of sorrow throughout. The softness of his heart gave unwanted eloquence to his lips. So he had that softness in his heart could be seen in whatever he was saying. Mrs. Thompson did not reply, but presently turned towards the little chamber where her husband had deposited Maggie. So Mrs. Thompson did not say anything, but yes, she was definitely touched. She had that feelings, the motherly feelings seemed to have aroused in her heart now. So she moved towards towards the chamber where Maggie was staying, and pushing open the door went quietly in. Joe did not follow. He saw that her state had changed, so he could notice that she has changed. She is no more angry now, and felt that it would be best to leave her alone with the child. So he went to his shop, which stood near the house, and worked until dusky evening released him from labor. So he went back to shop. He left Jane and Maggie all alone, and he returned back late at night. A light shining through the little chamber windows was the first object that attracted Joe's attention on turning towards the house. So, the first thing he saw while he was moving towards his house was the light shining in the little chamber. It was a good omen. So, it was good sign of future. So, he was happy that lights are on. So, probably Jane has accepted Maggie. The path led him by the windows, and when opposite, he could not help pausing to look in. So he stood by the window. It was litted from inside, light was there inside, so nobody could look out. So when it's night, when it's dark outside, and your room is lit, so you can't see outside, but others could peep inside. So similarly, Mr. Thompson was looking inside his window. He was peeping through the window, and he it was dark enough outside to screen him from observation. So it was dark outside, so nobody could see him. Maggie lay a little raised on the pillow. So what did he see when he looked inside the little chamber? He saw that Maggie lay a little raised on the pillow, with the lamp shining full upon her face. So Maggie was little risen on the pillow, and lamp's light was falling on his face. Mrs. Thompson was sitting by the bed, talking to the child, but her back was towards the window. So Mrs. Thompson's back was towards the window, but she was talking to Maggie, so that her countenance was not seen. So Mr. Thompson could not see face of Jane Thompson, but he could feel that she was talking to Maggie. From Maggie's face, therefore, Joe must read the character of intercourse. So from Maggie's face, he could note, he could make out that what they were talking about. He saw that her eyes were intentionally fixed upon his wife. So Maggie's eyes were fixed on the face of Jane Thompson, on the face of Mrs. Thompson. That now and then a few words came as if in answer from her lips. So he could make out that very rarely she talked a little, as if she was answering to the questions asked by Mrs. Thompson. That her expression was sad and tender, but he saw nothing of bitterness or pain. Though her expressions were sad and soft, but there was no pain in whatever she was saying. A deep drawn breath was followed by one of relief. A weight lifted itself from his heart. So now he drew a deep breath. That's everything is all right. So he was earlier, he was afraid that Jane might be very harsh or rude to Maggie, towards Maggie. But now when he noticed that there was no pain or bitterness, the way Maggie was talking to his wife, he drew a deep breath of relief, as if a great heart has been, a great weight has been lifted from his heart. He had a great weight on his heart that how will Jane react, or how will she treat Maggie? She'll be very rude, she'll be very angry at her. But now when she could feel that there was no pain and bitterness in whatever Maggie was saying, he was relieved. So I'll end the video here. I'll continue the rest in the next video. I hope everything is clear to you. In case there's any doubt, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much.